What's up everyone, Sixpenny here, and today I'm going to provide a full beginner's guide on how to play from the rough and bunker and how to calculate lie percentage effects in PGA Tour 2K23. I have a full gameplay tutorial series on the channel. You can check out the full link down in the description or just check the channel page for more. My plan is to make a tutorial on basically all aspects of this game. A big question I've been receiving is how to play from the rough, how to play from bunkers, especially with long distance irons and wedges. So we will be covering that as well. I will be doing a full short game guide, including flopping, splashing, chip shots. That will be in a separate video when we talk about playing for the rough. I will touch on a little bit of the short game, but it's basically the same principles as far as calculating lie percentage effects. But if you get some enjoyment, you find it helpful, drop a like, subscribe for plenty more PGA Tour 2K23 content, and let's go everybody. So, you find yourself in the rough. What do? Well, if you're like me, you're going to find yourself in the rough all the time. And now for the purposes of this video, I had my difficulty turned down and I turned tempo off because I want to show you all the actual lie percentage effect. And I don't have to worry about the swing. I want to show you actually what the effect is, right? So keep in mind, in my other videos, you'll see me playing on Master Plus. That's usually what I play on. There's always that one comment every single time. I think they skip past the part where I talk about this, where I'm just turning down the difficulty for the purposes of this video. So you find yourself in the rough, off the fairway. We have a pitching wedge here. First thing, I find myself in the rough so much with wedges and high irons. So why not start with the pitching wedge? So here we go. The flag is 137 yards away, uphill 1 foot. Now I have a specific video talking about how elevation changes affect the ball, and you can check out that if you want to know those calculations. But for this example, we don't even have to worry about it because it's just 1 foot uphill. But what we do have to worry about is that we're in the rough. So you all see at the top right of the screen here, some of you might have been wondering, what is this? What is this? So we have a percent that says 72 to 81%. That is your lie range. Now there is a new stat in this game called lie range, where if your lie range stat is higher by using club fittings or using an archetype that has a higher lie range, you get a more narrow percentage. The lie range stat does not boost your lie. It just decreases the range. So we have a pretty big range here, 72 to 81. The effect on the carry distance of the club is anywhere between 72% and 81%. So that is what it's saying. It's saying if I hit a full pitching wedge out of this rough lie, my pitching wedge is going to carry either 72% of 139 or 81% of 139 or anywhere in between that. The easiest way to play this, and the way that I play this, is I choose a number between the range given. So if you find yourself in the rough a lot, you're probably going to want to spec into the lie range stat because you're going to have a more accurate calculation. So instead of having 72 to 81, you may have 77 to 81. You pick the middle spot, you're going to be right on. But in your calculations, for me, a lot of people do this in their head. I like to save math. I like to save my brain for other things, focusing on tempo, focusing on the game. I leave it up to my calculator to do the math. Keep it easy. Hey, if you're good at math, just do it in your head. It is simple percents. But basically what this is saying, if I hit a full club, and if we get the 72% lie, I'm going to take 0.72 multiplied by 139, the carry distance, it could fly 100 yards, right? Okay, so that is a 39-yard effect. That is huge. But let's go to the other end of that. So we have an 88.1 on the other side. So 0.81 times 139. That's 112. So that is a 27-yard effect versus a 39-yard effect. That's a big range, right? That is a big range. What I do, I pick a number in the middle for my calculations. So for this purposes, let's just pick 77, right? So let's pick 0.77, multiply it by 139. That's going to give us 107. See, I'm putting it in the calculator. 107.3. Don't need to be specific, but that gives me a number in between. It gives me the yardage effect, 32 yards. 32 yards, this could affect. Now keep in mind, it's not going to be 100% accurate. You have the lie range stat, you're going to be more accurate. So the number we have is 107. If I hit the pitching wedge, 107, I'm going to be way too short, right? So I need to add 32 yards. If this is where I wanted to land it, 139, right? This is all now I'm just talking about the specific rough effect. But I want to land this a little bit before the hole here, about 133. The rough effect's going to be the same. I need to add 32 yards to this. So I need to get to a distance of 65. So we're going to go up a club to, we have an 8 iron here. So 8 iron, now pay attention. Every time you change club, that percentage at the top right changes. So I will show you this right now. See, every time I change it, now 7180, 7180, 7779, 7180, 4 hybrids, 6473, 3 hybrids, 6473, 3 wood, 5563, driver 3343. That is the reason why, I've received a lot of questions about drivers off the fairway, why they fly less. It's because of the lie percent. They're already going to fly like 80% of the normal value. So as we take a look back at the normal shot, we want to hit it. So if I want to land it 132, the wind effect is about 32, right? So it's what we calculated. So 32, we need to land this about 64. So we need to club up once and maybe twice. Now, there's a couple ways we could play this. We could hit the 7 iron, right? I could hit a partial 7 iron, 164, and play it that way, right? Another thing I could actually do is hit the 8 iron, use a little bit of shot shaping, change my attacking angle, LB right stick, and I could de-loft with the left stick to compensate. So that's one way you can do it. I don't like to play that from the rough because a rough shot is already hard anyways. So what I like to do is I'll go to the 7 iron and take a few yards off. My marker's at 164. That's if we get that middle percent. If we get the 71% lie, remember it's random. We get the 71%, we're going to be short. It's going to land, let's see, it's going to land 7 yards shorter than that. In the 132. So it would land 125. If we get the 80% lie or 81%, that would be 112. That would land 5 yards further than our landing spot. So we'd be 137 around, right? There's a lot of math in golf. Some people just don't like the math and they just send it. Hey, nothing wrong with that. You can play all by feel, but my goal with this is to help you understand the effect a little bit more. So there's another thing you have to look at. So we did our calculations, we chose a number in the middle, and that's what we're going to use for our calculations. You also have to take a look at your lie angle. So what I mean in regards to lie angle is an uphill or downhill lie. So you look at the grids that are moving right at the golfer. Are these grids moving downhill or are they moving uphill? It's really hard to tell from the rough here, but it looks like, see this white line just slowly moving down. It's really subtle, hard to see. It is a slight downhill lie. Uphill lie, which means we're hitting into an uphill slope. An uphill slope takes off more distance to the shot. So I say I pick the middle number, right? I say I usually pick the middle number. If I have a significant uphill lie in the rough, I'm actually going to choose the lower number. His uphill lies from the rough have usually a greater effect. So in this calculation, if this was like an orange or very significant green or yellow slope uphill, I would use the 0.71 in my calculation and play the shot from there. If it's downhill, it's the opposite. Downhill shots, downhill lies are going to carry a little bit further. So I would use the number at the top end of the range. So I would use the 0.81 or 0.8 if I had the 7 iron out here. Hopefully that makes sense. I know it's a lot to think about. The more you play, the more you do it, it's gonna make sense. You're gonna understand it a little bit more. It's also important to note, when a ball is hit from the rough, it's going to have less spin. The grooves of your club, just like in real life, cannot get on it as well. You just cannot generate a lot of spin for the rough. So you're going to have more rollout. So you need to compensate for more rollout by taking distance off your shot. Your ball is also going to fly lower off the ground, right? Your ball is going to fly lower off the ground as well. So that means it's going to spend less time in the air. It's going to have more roll inherently, and the wind is actually going to have less effect. So we don't have to worry about like a tailwind here, but I am going to account a little bit for a slight cross headwind. You see that? It's moving a little bit into the upper right position, so it's going to add just a bit of distance. So we're going to hit about 163, and then I need to aim left because of the wind. So the wind is blowing to the right. I'm going to aim about 7 flicks of the stick to the left, about 1-to-1 with the cross side wind, across tailwind, excuse me. And then we have the lie angle we have to look at as well. You have to look about a lot on your shot. I know this video is mostly on lie percentages, but you have to look at the big picture, right? So the lie angle, the arrow, the little beads are moving to the right, so it's going to push the ball to the right off Ryan Gamer's there's club face. So we're going to need to aim a little bit more to the left here. So we have our calculations there. Now all that's left is to hit the shot. So if I hit a full 95, it should land about 32 yards less. Probably about, my goal was around between 130 and 132 and 130, but keep in mind, it's not going to be 100% exact. But here we go. $123. 123 is what it landed. So what was the wind effect there? I mean, what was the rough effect? 123 is what we had from a 163. Gonna give us, that was about a 40-yard effect. We got the lower percentage, right? We got the 0.72. We got the 0.72 effect, which was 39 that we had already calculated. So that ball played more at the lower range. It's going to happen. You're not going to be 100% correct. Remember, I picked the number in the middle because for me, for calculation purposes, that's the easiest way to do it. Like yeah, you can choose bottom or top, but think about it. If you choose the bottom and you miss, and it is the high range, you are full sending it over the flag, possibly into the water over the green. If you choose the high percent, you're going to say the rough's not affecting it very much. You're going to land way too short, right? Because it's going to affect more than what it shows. My rule of thumb is pick the number in the middle, right? So that's how I play the rough. That's how you play the lie percent from every different position in the game. So we're in the practice arena right now, so I can actually hit B and I can move my ball wherever I want to. So what if we were hitting I find myself in a downhill, in a kind of downhill lie all the time, or uphill lie in the rough, right? With the iron. So let's go to an iron and let's just place it on a random slope here, 173. And let's do another example before we look at the bunkers. So here we are again, 173 yards away, slight downhill. So for every 3 feet of downhill, it's going to add 1 yard to the shot. So 7 divided by 3 gives us 2. So this really, at the flag, is going to play 175 because of elevation instead of 173. I know it's a lot of numbers, a lot of math, but golf is a lot of numbers and math, right? You don't have to do any of this. You can just play by feel and just full send it every time. Hey, it's uphill, we're in the rough, let's just send it. Oh, but here we go. If I pick my landing spot first, right? Pick my landing spot. Let's see. My landing spot, we want to land about 160. Let's go 165. So basically, we know we're not hitting the 7-iron because 7-iron only flies 168. We know we're in the heavy rough, right? We know for a fact this club's never getting there. So I'm going to go ahead and actually club up a few clubs actually. I'm going to go up to the 5-iron and do my calculations from the 5-iron because I already have an anticipation of how much it's going to affect. So here we go. We have 79%. I'm going to choose a number in the middle. It's like 74. Let's choose 74 for this one. So let's do 0.74 times 188 is going to give us 139. Pretty big wind effect. Again, that's 40. That's about 40-yard wind effect, right? So will we be able to even get this there is another question we have to ask ourselves. Will we even be able to get it back there? Because if we have the 0.7% and times it by 188, that's going to give us 131. That is a huge wind effect there, way more than 40. So that's a big wind effect. That's close to 50, right? So what we're going to do here, we know if we have a 40-yard wind effect, if I want to land it 166, I need to add 40 yards. That means I have to hit it 206 yards. What does that tell me? Well, it tells me that I'm gonna have to go up to the hybrid, and my hybrid doesn't even fly that. So hybrid, if I move up to the hybrid, I want to hit this because look at the percent, 64.73. No. So this is when I back off. You're going to be in this position a lot in this video game. You're going to be in this position a lot. I would be careful hitting a hybrid out of the heavy stuff. It does work if you're in the right range. If I was just 10 yards less, I would probably be, I mean, if I was a little bit, 10 yards less, I'd be hitting a hybrid. But we got to hit the 4-iron because the 4-iron, we know we're probably going to land short. So we have our calculation. We did the percentage effect from the roughs about 40 yards, right? Then we have to compensate for the lie. Do we have an uphill? Yeah, we do. So we have a very significant side hill lie there. So I need to aim to the right now because the ball is going to be pulled to the left. So this uphill lie that we're on is going to take off a little distance as well. So probably like 45. We already know we're going to land short. Now we do have a little bit of a cross tailwind. You see it's pointing straight up to the right. It's not going to, it may add 1 or 2 yards. It's not going to add a lot. So what I'm going to do also is change the attacking angle on the 4-iron. See what I just did? LB, right stick, move it down. I can get extra distance. You got to be careful with tempo because mostly all of us play a tempo on or 3-click, right? Some people play without tempo. So without tempo, you don't have to worry about it. But I'm going to add slight shot shaping because basically in a real round, I would just add slide. I want to add a lot because the penalty every time you touch shot shaping is big in your forgiveness window for swing plane and tempo. So I need to aim to the right because of the lie angle, aim back to the left because of the wind. And we're going to see we're just going to pay attention to the rough effect here. That thing shot off like a rocket to the left. So ended up about, it carried about 150, 158, 160. It was really hard to see the exact, but big rough effect, right? You saw like, I kind of want to hit that shot again because I want to see, will we actually carry it with that attacking angle? Aim way to the right. Can we actually get that there? See where it's going to land. $155. 155 is what it landed. It was hard to see over there. So 155, that is a big rough effect. It's actually a little bit less than what we calculated at the 0.74. 139 is where we thought it would land. It landed 155, right? So if we take 155 divided by the carry distance of the 4-iron, 198, that is 0.78. So we got the upper ends of the lie. These are great examples. This is why I choose the number in the middle. The first one, what did we get? The low end of the number, the more rough effect. This example, we got the opposite. We got the high end effect. The reason I picked the middle, because when you find the rough, you can't dial it into perfection. It's random. But if you choose the number in the middle, you're going to be close. If I choose the 71% for my calculation, I am going to be full sending that thing because I'm going to compensate for 50 or 49 yards of decrease, and we got the 79%. be careful out there, right? Choose the number in the middle. But there's an example from the rough. Now, any lie in the game, whether it's the bunker, from fairway bunkers, no matter where it is, you're going to have that same, you're going to have percentages. Now, bunkers usually have, it depends. You can have a good lie, you can have a really bad lie, you can have a plugged bunker shot. A plugged bunker is about 30%. They're insane. You basically just have to just send them out of there. There's not much you can do from a plugged bunker in real life and in this game. But I got a lot of questions on long fairway bunkers because you all have noticed in my videos I find bunkers all the time. So I recommend carrying a hybrid. Hybrids are, if you find yourself in the bunker, hybrids are so good for the bunker. So are long irons as well. 4-iron, 3-iron hybrids. You know, they really are really good for the long bunkers, depending on what lie you have. But it's the same concept from the sand. The other thing you have to worry about, though, that comes into play from the sand is pay attention to the lip of the bunker and pay attention to ball flight, because you want to make sure that if you have a high lip, we don't have to worry about it on this shot. But if I had a high lip there, I would have to put a little bit, I would have to hit LB, use the left and right stick to add a little bit of loft to it so that I don't hit the front lip. So be very careful on these long bunker shots, but it's the same concept. I take the number in the middle of the bunker. So we have 86%, 94% lie. Take the number in the middle. That's how much it's going to affect the club flight. Use that in your calculations. It's the same calculation that we just did, right? It's the same exact calculation. Nothing changes when you're in the sand. One thing that does change in the sand, you're going to have good ball flight, much better than from the rough. You're going to generate more spin from the sand than you would from the rough. So actually, bunkers are the preferred place to be. If you're going to miss the fairway, if you miss the fairway a lot like me, you better be finding the bunker versus the heavy stuff. Heavy stuff is hard to be perfectly exact, and it's really tough to hit from the heavy rough. So bunkers are the same exact way. It's the same exact way that we just did it. And now light rough, it's the same, except you're just going to get a different percentage. So we have a 91 to 93% lie here. If we move it to another light rough lie, we're going to have 93, 95, right? A better lie. So it's just, light rough is actually really easy to play for. You're going to get a little, you're going to get a little less roll, but I love the light stuff. Light stuff, I would choose, I think all of us would choose it any other day. But now I told you I would touch on short shots. So I would be doing a full short game tutorial. So it's the same calculation. So for 26 yards here, you'll find yourself here a lot. It's the same exact calculation. Don't overthink it. Choose the number in the middle. Use the calculation. Calculate the distance effect on that club. How far do you think it will carry? And then compensate for it by either going up a few clubs with the chip shot, or a lot of times you actually have to change to the hardest shot in the game. Well, splash shot's hardest shot in the game for bunkers. You may have to hit a partial pitch shot from short-sided rough shots, and it's really challenging. It takes a lot of finesse, but you just got to keep working on those partial. I will be doing videos on those specifically. And also, you may be hitting a flop instead. I think flop is easier to hit than a partial pitch shot. That's just my preference. So I would choose a flop. So first thing, I would choose chip. If it won't carry long enough, I would choose flop. If flop doesn't work, I would choose a pitch. Because you're going to find yourself in these shots right here all the time. Long pitch shots where you have to you're in the rough, heavy stuff, and you have to hit a pitch shot, right? So I will be covering all that in this was most specifically on how to cover the lie percent ranges. It's the same thing for this, right? Lie percent is the same thing no matter what lie you have. Choose the number in the middle, use that for your calculations, compensate for it, and then hit the shot, right? But don't forget about the other elements, the wind, the spin. The ball is going to roll a lot more, so you need to take off distances for that. The downhill lie. A downhill lie is going to add more distance to the shot, right? The elevation change. So all this has to be put together before a golf shot. A lot of us who have played the game for a while, we already know this, so we just get up there and we change a few things and hit the ball, right? But I like to slow it down in these videos, provide an in-depth guide on what to do in each of these situations. It's the same concept. Don't overthink it. Whether you're a pitch shot, calculate it the same. Now, the hard thing about pitch shots is a lot of time you have to hit partials, right? So partial pitch shots are one of the hardest shots to hit in the game for tempo. Same thing with flops, splashes, and chip shots. So when I say I have a tempo guide out there, keep working on tempo, keep practicing, but get your calculations down, get your numbers down at the same time you're getting your tempo down, because they're both key. You can have the best tempo in the world, but if you don't account for any of the other or know how to play any of the elements, you're never going to score well, right? So there you have it. There is my deep dive into playing from different live percentages. Do the calculations. You're going to do it in your head if you're really good at math. Hey, no need to use a calculator. I just show that because I know I have a lot of people out there that use the calculator. I like to save my brain and use it. Some people don't like to pull out a calculator when they game at all. I 100% get that. But you all are legends. Thank you for watching this video to the end. I hope you got some enjoyment out of this and found some help out of this. If you did, drop a like, subscribe if you want to see more, and let me know if you have any questions down below in the description, or if you want to see a specific tutorial video that you have not seen. First, you should probably check out the gameplay tutorial list, because I might have already covered the question that you had to ask. But you all are all legends. I will see you in the next one. As always, have a fantastic day, everybody.